Listen closely, my dear. I've been holding this for too long. There's a story that's been tucked away inside me, like an old photograph fading with each passing year. It's heavy, like the air right before it rains, and it begins on a night so silent that you could almost hear the stars breathe. I need to share it with you, even if my voice trembles a bit and these old hands shake. It was another dark night during those uncertain times. Back then, we didn't sleep much. The darkness felt like a blanket we were afraid to pull over ourselves. We feared what might be waiting underneath. Your great-grandmother, Miriam, was sitting at the table, brushing dirt from her little Isaac's face. He was only 5 then, but his eyes had already seen more than any child should. I was much younger too, yet even then I felt the weight of the world pressing on my shoulders. We had heard whispers of soldiers in the distance, echoes carried by the wind, telling of their brutality, the cold efficiency with which they swept through villages, leaving nothing but dust and sorrow behind. That night the order was clear: move swiftly, move silently, and above all, stay together. Mama, holding our hands so tight, me and Leah, your great-aunt, whispered a prayer under her breath, each word hoping to find a little grace in the darkness. So we packed what we could, the last piece of bread from the cupboard wrapped tightly. As we stepped out into the bitter cold, every twig that snapped was a drumbeat in the silence, each rustle of a leaf like a shout. The cold cut through us like knives, our breath visible ghosts in the air. Papa picked up Isaac, murmuring to him softly, a promise sealed with tears: "I'll protect you, no matter what." We walked for hours that night, through forests that loomed like ancient sentinels, the sky cloaked in clouds so thick they seemed almost tangible. Each step was a battle with exhaustion, each breath a labor in the freezing cold. At some point, Leah stumbled. Her small hand desperately clutching mine was ice, and I wrapped an arm around her, refusing to let the cold steal her warmth. We found refuge in a dilapidated barn, its broken walls offering meager protection. We huddled together under a sparse heap of straw, and as I looked around at their faces, I caught a glimpse of a smile on Mama, a brief flicker in all that fear. It was as if the connection of our bodies, the shared struggle, granted her a moment of peace. The night stretched on, and the fear that tomorrow would never come was always there with us, resting heavily on our hearts. Even in the small moments, the terror was relentless. The hollow echo of boots on icy ground was replaced by the haunting silence of waiting. We knew that safety was momentary, that survival was a fragile thread. When dawn broke, we continued our journey, finding paths through ruins of villages once vibrant with life. Here, the ghosts of laughter and the memories of people lingered like the last autumn leaves, clinging to bare branches. We had to choose our route carefully. Each turn might mean another farewell. The uncertainty was a constant shadow. Every so often, we heard distant gunshots, and in those moments, Papa would cover Isaac's ears. "Hush now," he'd say, though his eyes brimmed with the truth that he hid from us. The terror was enough to sap the strength from our legs, the hunger making our hands tremble as we held each other tighter. Hiding was a game we played often. Under tables, in cellars, anywhere we could squeeze our bodies into smaller shapes and hope we wouldn't be found. But the fear was never truly hidden. It lived in our whispered conversations. Where hope was spoken so quietly, it dared not echo. One night, after many just like it, we were forced to run again. I remember the sound of shouting behind us, the barks of orders in a language that felt harsh in the stillness of the night. Mama grabbed Isaac to her chest, and in the frenzy, Leah's hand slipped from mine. The moment felt like hours stretched into a single heartbeat, each beat a dagger in my chest. I can still hear her voice breaking the night, calling our names as she was swept away into the crowd. It was the pain of final words spoken in a whisper that haunted my dreams. Time doesn't heal such scars, it simply teaches you to wear them. We were left with fewer faces in our famished circle, and guilt made a home in the hollow of our hearts for surviving when Leah did not. We pressed on, crossing fields that had been torn apart, landscapes that felt like echoes of our own fears and struggles. Each step was a decision, every path a chance we had to take. Hope was a fragile thing then, but it never truly died. It flickered like a candle in the window, always one breath away from extinguishing, but refusing to go out. I remember one afternoon, we found a raggedy shawl abandoned on a fence, and Papa gave it to Isaac to wear. It was a small mercy, but it staved off the chill, nudging comfort into the keening wind. These were the things that sustained us, the small mercies, a shared glance, the warmth of another's body against the cold of the world. Sometimes the hunger was so intense, we could hardly stand. It's difficult to describe the sensation of your own body weakening, your own flesh calling out for salvation. Our struggle was devastatingly human, an unyielding spirit trapped in frail bodies. A love so strong, it pushed us onward even when everything else screamed to stop. One evening, as the darkness wrapped around us again like an old friend, Isaac, in his tiny voice, asked the question that made the night even darker. "Are we going to be okay?" Papa knelt down, his calloused hands shaking, and whispered to him words that tried to bind our broken hearts back together. "Yes," he said, and it was hope talking, not certainty. As I share these memories with you, a lifetime later, I realize there is a wisdom in suffering that cannot be unlearned. War steals so much, lives, innocence, laughter. But the love we carried was a light, even in the places shadowed with despair. It's a love that echoes here still, in our family, in you. Living through such darkness taught me that survival is never just about the body. It's the heart that must be kept beating, the heart that must keep dreaming. Even as war tried to tear us apart, it was love that kept us whole. Love that made sure we didn't lose ourselves in the sorrow. We survived, my dear, and though we carry those moments with us always, it's in this love that we find solace. This story, this truth, I give to you now. Cherish it, and please, share it with someone who needs to remember what the shadows of war left behind.